this second episode of the Born to Be Well podcast. So today I have the pleasure to interview my friend and colleague, Nathalie Ashkar, who's a licensed naturopath living on the North Shore of Montreal in Quebec, Canada. She's a naturopath since 2010, and she specializes in naturopathic care for the whole family, I should say. So she works with babies, kids, teens, and adults as well. So thank you so much for being with us today, Nathalie. I'm super happy to see you here.
I'm happy too. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah. So as we talked about today, I'd like you to just introduce yourself to the people. So you are a naturopath who work a lot with digestive health, gluten intolerance, and things like that. And do you want to tell us just a little bit about, first of all, what brought you to wanting to study naturopathy in the first place?
Yeah, it's I guess often it comes from our personal experience. So in my case, I have 4 kids, but my first boy was very, very sick. And I was thinking of changing orientation to take care of my family because I was tired to go to the doctor and they give me a prescription, and the week after I go to the doctor for the same reason and another prescription. So I said, okay, I have to do something for my family and help them. So I was thinking, and I was thinking about acupuncture, and then suddenly I find naturopathy, and I said, oh, that's it. That is my path. I love food. I love cooking. I love to know what kind of food help for people. So I said it's a good thing. And while I was studying, I noticed there was a class talking about gluten intolerance, and I said, oh my God, it's all the symptoms of my kids. So I start testing him, and then I found that he was intolerant. It wasn't a surprise because my mom is celiac. So I said, okay, it's just normal. So like maybe 20 years ago, my mom found that she was celiac, and I was laughing at her like, it's not good food. But now the industry evolved a lot, and the products are more accessible. So it was very easy to change for my kid. So I start like that.
That's great. It's very often how it goes, right? Like we experience something in our personal life, and that leads us towards like a journey to actually help either ourselves or family. So basically, from my understanding, that was the first, like the starting point of you studying in naturopathy to actually help your son, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, I didn't know that much about naturopathy because I never consult one before. Mm-hmm. And I started studying, and I said, oh, it's much more than I thought. So we are talking about food, but about supplements, about plants, about essential oils. So, and each time I had a class, I said, wow, that's so interesting. And I was doing testing on my kid. Okay, this thing helped him. And so it was very interesting. And as well, I found that my health improved a lot. So I say, okay, it's not only for one person, one case, one thing in particular. It can help many things. So since then, I had 3 other kids, and I found they are always my laboratory. I always testing. Okay, I want to understand more and this and this. So I try a lot on my kids, and that helped me to help other kids because I know how kids function, and I'm not so impressed by their behavior or other things. Mm-hmm. So, and because in naturopathy is like we talk to the client, we try to learn more about them. And sometimes you say, okay, you have to take this kind of food, you take off of your diet that kind of food like gluten, casein, but sometimes it's much more food that you have to take out. And I saw all the stress that was becoming with that. So I said, okay, I have to find a solution to help more. So I start studying. First time I started studying in NATE. So it's for food intolerance. And then I say, oh, it's a wonderful technique that mix like acupuncture, mix other trigger points. And
yeah, like some sort of like kinesiology, right?
yeah, it's like before kinesiology, but it used the muscle test response.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw it's a wonderful technique. There's a lot of nice thing becoming out of it, but it takes so much time to have result that I said I have to find something else. And then I found a kind of kinesiology called integrated kinesiology,
Mm-hmm.
and that helped me a lot to help people. So it can, it's based on Chinese medicine. So we have the meridians, we use the 5 elements like earth, water, and everything. So all the mindset is based on Chinese medicine. It mixed with functional medicine as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all with muscular test response. So if the muscle is weak, it's because something is going on. If the muscle test is very strong, then it means that the organ goes well.
Okay. And so you currently use that in your own like private practice, right?
Yeah. So for food intolerance, it can help a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had a kid who got an operation, and since then she had a lot of intolerance. I think when she came to see me at first, she could eat about seven kind of food, and that's it. So, and now she's a teenager, and she take picture of her lunch, and she said, "Look, Nathalie, I can eat that and that and that." So,
this is amazing.
Yeah, this is very fun, very interesting. But it can help more than just food intolerance. But this is one kind of thing. I say, okay, in naturopathy, I could help, but not that much in such a short time.
Yeah,
okay. But kinesiology, it makes a difference in the body without it. You can have supplements, but without supplement, the person come out of your office and the change is starting. So I said, this is interesting. Yeah. Instead of going, I have to change this kind of food, I have to change my menu, I have to find other kind of food, and it's like a puzzle in your head, and I love this. So then this is a way of having other kind of solution.
Yeah. So basically this is just speeding up the results that you would get, like trying to modify their diet. When you use integrated kinesiology, it's sort of like a shortcut to where you want to go with them.
A shortcut and more precise, because I know for this person you need that, and you need to work on that. So it's it's really precise. I can say, okay, it's the enzyme of the stomach, for example, that is more weak than the enzyme of pancreas. So instead of giving enzyme like general enzyme, I will give precise to help the pancreas or the stomach, or help the bile, for example. So I can go very precisely, and I can know, for example, okay, yes, there's biochemistry that need to be supported, but maybe there's an emotion also that trigger the enzyme. So I can say, okay, will help also the emotion that is triggering. So I use back flour that people know more, maybe the rescue remedy.
Yeah.
But so you use the back flour with the supplement, and you take it, and then it helps to relieve the emotion that is stuck in the organ.
This is so interesting. And I guess it's super safe to use with children as well, right?
Yeah, it's very easy. So
Yeah.
I adapt, of course, the protocol for the children, because usually they cannot swallow supplement, for example. So some I say, okay, you crush that, or I use liquid things, or homeopathy, or I use other or essential oils as well. So there's many things that you can pick up and adapt for young people, or people say, I don't like powder, so you have to find other thing, or I don't like to take supplement, you have to find other ways. So
yeah, definitely. And that's the beauty of naturopathic care. There is several tools that we can actually use with our patients and to try to really help them, right? And going back to your story regarding like gluten intolerance for your son, your mom being celiac and so on. I know you've been writing a book, like a recipe book for actually very, very yummy recipes, gluten-free. I actually have it on my place. The recipes are really great. Do you want to tell us just a little bit more about what you see more, the most often in your office or in general, when someone comes to see you and might have like symptoms of gluten intolerance, or how does that manifest, and what's the impact of eating gluten on your overall health?
yeah, that's a good question and a big answer, because
it is.
it goes everywhere. So if you are not able to digest gluten, so gluten, what is gluten first? It's a kind of a protein that is in the wheat, but many other cereal like barley and many other cereals. So it's a big protein, and it's when you put flour and water, it makes like a glue. So gluten is the glue thing that all stick together. That means that your bread is still in one piece.
And it's all fluffy and like, not fluffy, but very spongy, right?
Yeah, it's the moisturizing in the bread. Yeah. So this glue goes in your intestine, and if you are not able to digest it, it stick in your intestine. So what it does, like this intestine is all all waves, and there's velocity on it, and on the velocity you have your bacteria. So if the glue goes on it, the bacteria cannot breathe, and suddenly it stick on your velocity, and you have problem to absorb nutrients.
Yeah, because the velocity in the intestine, they are like the absorption area within our intestine, right? This is where we absorb all the nutrients, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if we go just up a bit, it means that your stomach gave the chlorhydric acid, that your pancreas gave the enzyme, and your bile, and it's all arrive in the intestine. And maybe it's not complete, the digestion is not complete, so it gets stuck in it, or it's in the intestine that you are not able to digest it completely. So the molecule, it's when you eat, you shorten the size of the molecule, because it's the digestion process. And then it goes, when it's completely digested, it goes in your blood. But now, because you don't digest it well, it's like the digestion is not complete, the molecule is still big, and it goes in your blood. And the blood say, oh my God, what I do with that, I don't recognize it. So there's many kind of reaction that it's possible. Or the body say, okay, it's dangerous thing because I don't know it, and I will try to stuck it somewhere so it doesn't continue in the blood flow. Or the immune system say, okay, it's a really bad thing, we don't know it, we'll attack it.
Okay. So would that lead to actually some like autoimmune conditions then?
Exactly. So what can it do? It can bring autoimmune condition. It can goes also on the nervous system. So if you don't complete the digestion, it can go a little bit like morphine kind of reaction. Okay. So it will slow down the mind. One of the biggest comment I have in my with my clients, it's, oh my God, I don't have brain fog anymore.
Yeah.
People never notice that they had it, and suddenly, oh, I can think clearly.
Yeah, that's interesting. A lot of people are actually complaining about brain fog those days, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's not only the gluten, the problem. With the stress, the intestine is not that good. With the change of food, the food coloring, the preservative, the insecticide, pesticide that you have, all the food is not the same as 200 years ago. Mm-hmm. So there's many things that unbalance the intestine. Gluten is one of it. Casein, one of the proteins in the milk products, dairy products, is another one. It's all big molecules.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I also know that sometimes people, when they do either eat gluten or dairy product, it can actually create a lot of inflammation within their gut and lead to a condition that is called the leaky gut syndrome. I've actually been interviewing my colleague Robert Floyd a few weeks ago where he talked to us about the leaky gut syndrome. So do you see that a lot in your practice as well?
Yeah, of course, there's a lot of leaky gut problem. And you have to notice, because you asked me what does it do? It can do thing, but just the lining of the intestine, what we have in it, we have liposoluble vitamin in the lining. So we unbalance all the fat in the lining. So it means that slowly it becomes leaky gut. But inside the lining, there's also hormones. So there's progesterone, there's estrogen in it. So it can unbalance all hormonal problems.
Okay, so hold on here for a second, because I can hear all the women listening to this podcast at the moment, maybe thinking, wait a minute, could my hormonal imbalance be related to some gut issues? Is that what you're saying?
Of course.
Okay.
All clients will start first. What I will check is the gut, the enzyme and the gut. It's the basis. If this is unbalanced, everything can be unbalanced. So you have to shakerize and have a healthy gut before doing other things. If not, it's like you built a house without a foundation. You can build your house, you will see the house, but it can be unbalanced and you can have a lot of problems. So I prefer to go to the cause and regulate this before just doing the symptoms. You have hot flashes, and I will correct your hot flashes. I want to know why you have hot flashes. So it's not all the time, but yes, it can have gut issues.
Yeah. And this is the beauty also about naturopathic care, is we always try to go to the cause of the problem, right? We don't try to just overcome the symptoms. Of course, we want to get to help the person to reduce their symptoms and so on, but we want to address the cause so the symptoms do not always come back if, as an example, they stop taking a supplement or medicinal herbs or whatever that is. So by addressing, as an example here, the root cause that could be either gluten intolerance or dairy intolerance, you're really addressing the root cause and then having a more long-lasting effect on some type of health issues. Now, I'm curious to know, do you see in your practice, is there some people that are more prone to being sensitive to gluten, or it's just do you think pretty much everybody is sensitive to gluten. What's your point of view on this?
I guess everybody has a sensitivity, but it's a spectrum.
Yeah, okay.
So it's hard to say everybody, because there's always, everybody is different,
Yeah.
and it can be different in the same person, but in the lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very difficult to generalize. But I can say, like, the wheat is changed a lot since the 20 last years. So because I know in North America it's worse. We have like 40% more of gluten in the wheat than we had before, and then in Europe there's 40% less. So I have clients, they say, here I cannot eat a piece of bread, but when I travel in Europe, I can eat bread and there's no problem.
Really?
So,
wow.
Yeah. Why? Because here we prefer the inside part of the bread, and in Europe it's more the crust.
Okay.
So it's only the habits, and the industry will feed what people want.
Yeah, they will adapt for sure. Yeah.
So this is one factor. The other factor is the bread is not made as the old way. So before, there were fermented the flour,
yeah,
the yeast, and they let it took a lot of time to make a bread. Now we have to go quick. We have to give more. So we don't let the fermentation process a long time. It's a few hours or a few minutes when they do it. So that means that it's not unbreak the molecules in the bread. It's harder.
Because the fermentation actually helps to break down the molecules in, like, the wheat as an example, so it makes it more digestible.
It's more. So this is another kind of problem. And the other problem is that we always choose the best wheat. So when we cultivate it, we use the wheat that is more easy to take to like, for example, long wheat doesn't exist that much anymore. Like, it's more shorter, so it's easier to take. And there's insecticide, pesticide, there's a lot of things that goes on wheat.
I guess it makes it, like, easier to harvest, and they can probably do several crops throughout the summer, as opposed to a very tall one, which they maybe would have harvested only once throughout the summer.
So they took the grain that is shorter, easier to harvest, and the next year they take this one, and next year take this one. So it changed a lot. So the structure, the molecular structure, is not the same anymore.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And I'm curious to know now, from your experience, when someone stops eating gluten, like, how long does it take before they can actually notice some sign of, like, improvement or something that is changing in their body?
It depends. It can go like, for example, I have on this autism spectrum clients, and some, like, in one day the parents see the difference.
Oh my God.
And I have people who it takes like a few months to see the difference.
Okay.
But everybody that has gluten issues see a difference within maybe 6 months. But usually, like, the majority, it's around 3 to 4 weeks that they can see, or like, because it can be, for example, for autism person, you see they will calm down. They will have first you have a severage reaction, like you are becoming very angry, very aggressive, and you really need your gluten because it's like a bit of morphine. So because it's not completely digest, it's like a residue of morphine.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, it's a detox. It's like a drug detox. So they will shiver. They will have many things. And after, it's like a relief. And if they take it back, you see all the behavior coming back.
And also, I guess, because you know how our bacteria within our gut, they are actually, we're feeding them on certain type of food, right? And I've been actually reading quite a few research suggesting that when you do remove one of those food, you will actually crave it more for a certain period of time, because your bacteria, they're actually kind of like controlling your brain. They're like, I want this, give me this, right? And you will start to wanting that specific food even more for like a certain period of time, until like your old gut ecosystem starts of like start to adjust around the fact that it's no more there.
Yeah, exactly. The parents have to be very patient and very comprehensive, because it's not the person who asks for it, it's the bacteria. And we do have more bacteria than cells in our body or people on the world. So there's a lot of bacteria. They are the boss.
Yeah.
If they goes well, you go well. If they don't go well, you have problem. So all the sewerage is very hard. And you have to think that the lining in the gut is about the same materials as the barrier in your brain that protect the brain, that say, okay, this molecule will go in and this molecule cannot go in your brain. So the gluten will damage this lining. So there's molecule that goes in the brain and they will unbalance all the neurotransmitter.
Okay, that's so interesting. And do you think like someone can actually start to heal certain type of condition, or just to improve their overall health, just removing gluten from their diet without taking any probiotic or supplements to actually heal their gut? Do you think this is really, really speeding up the process if you do take certain type of supplements?
I have to say it depends, but for the majority, if you take out gluten, you will see a change. Is it sufficient or not? Only you can answer, because it depends. It depends how hard you want to work on your health. So there are some people say, oh, I have headaches, but you know, everybody has headaches, so they will live well with that. In my point of view, I like to go further. I said, no, it's not true that everybody have headaches and you have to suffer from headaches all your life. Or gluten can relate also for thyroid problem. So because we have also in the lining, we have thyroid hormones. So if it unbalances the lining, it unbalances also the thyroid, and it can be also attacked as a autoimmune disease.
Okay, like Hashimoto's disease or something like that?
Exactly. Okay. So where I was going with that, so yes, you can, like the gluten will help the condition. It doesn't always heal the condition. Sometimes you have to do other things.
Yeah, you have to take it one step further in doing other things too. It's not like the holy grail of like all disease or like treatment.
There's no solution. And we have to say, yes, it's good. The food is wonderful. The healthy habits are wonderful. Exercise, take water. But for me, the biggest trigger is your mind, your mindset. All the stress, all the negative thinking, all the word that you are telling to you every day. I think it's more damaging than other thing. So you also have to change the way you think because you're maintaining your health issues.
This is so true. And I'm so happy you're bringing that up, actually, because like sometimes, like I heard someone saying the other day, sometimes our mental dialogue, if we were to say that to someone else, like the other person would say, I'm not allowing you to speak to me like that, right? But we do it to ourselves, right? And this definitely has an impact on our stress level, on our immune system, on our sleep, and so on, because this is something that is constantly there. And if it's not positive, if we do like criticize ourselves a lot and things like that, this can be very damaging for not only our well-being, but for our health as well, right?
Yeah. This is like you have, you can measure with electrode on your brain, the brain waves, but there's other machine that can measure your brain waves from without touching your brain. So you're also diffusing what is your inner words inside yourself. So you will attract also the events or people that will nourish your bad words that you are telling you.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I know you and I are big fans of Joe Dispenza's work. And actually, I'd love to talk about that in maybe another interview, because this is so fascinating about, like, it brings that really a step further into understanding how our own inner world can affect not only us, but the world around us. And this is really, really amazing, honestly. And
one proof of that is when you're happy, when you're in a good mood, your kids are wonderful.
Yeah.
When you're angry or you're stressed or you're tired, it's all a very big event. There's problems, there's a lot of fight. And so your way of behaving has an impact on others. And your child are so sensible that they cap everything.
Yeah, they're like little sponges. I very often think of them as like like a reflection of like my inner world type of thing. So the better I feel, they're super happy and enjoying life. If I feel stressed out, like they really sense it. And they have actually realized that into my family life, it was like a breakthrough. I was like, oh my God, like people were telling me that over and over. And I was like, yeah, but not so much, you know, but when that really hits home, it's like, oh my God, this is so true. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up. It's a really good example. Yeah, definitely. And now going back to, I just want to specify something, going back to like the whole gluten topic and so on. There is a lot of gluten-free product on the market at the moment. In fact, it's actually a good time in the history if you want to go gluten-free or whatever, because there is so many possibilities and choices. But sometimes the choices that are available on the market are not necessarily healthier choice, as if like compared to you eating gluten, right? So there's a lot of product that are either super high in like simple carbohydrates, very poor in nutrients. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's not because it's gluten-free that it's healthy.
Yeah.
First thing. So usually I will give some brands to my clients to say, okay, don't take this one because it's too much glucidic, or too much, it's poor oils that they use also. Yeah. So it's really bad products.
Yeah.
One of the best thing when you are going gluten-free is to cook yourself, by yourself. And the second thing I would say, it's because you cannot eat something, you are craving for that. So you will want more pasta, more bread, more pizza, more muffins, more anything. But is grain, it's all right, but it's not the first thing to think when you have to eat. So go back to vegetable, at least the half of your plates, more vegetable. And it can be a little part of your plate, like maybe less than 1/4 or around that. So it's your plate, it's not the spaghetti. The spaghetti is just a side plate.
Yeah.
You have to eat more vegetable. So this is one thing. But if you cook by yourself, it will be more healthy, and you can choose what you put in it. You can choose the kind of sugar you put in it if you put some, but you can use dates, for example, or monk fruit.
Yeah, monk fruit.
So I reversed the word, sorry.
That's okay.
So there's a lot of things that you can use to be more healthy. And what I like to say is that at least in North America, but in Occidental way of eating, we have a lot of the sweet teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I have clients from Africa and they say, I discovered dessert only when I came here because the concept didn't exist in my mind before.
Oh my God.
So we create that. And I see also at my kids' school, like, okay, they were good, so we give you a candy. There's a party, so we give you a candy. There's something. It's always like they go to grandmother. Grandma will give a candy. It's always we give sugar like it was a gift, a pleasure.
Yeah. We actually use sugar as a reward system, right? So that actually creates a circuit in our brain that whenever we want to reward ourselves, we're going to go for something sugary as well, right?
Exactly. The comfort food become sugary food.
Yeah.
So, or bad food. It can be fast food or other bad thing. So why we always go with bad food? So more you cook the things, you can choose what you put in, and more you educate your kids to like, oh, I want comfort food, but comfort food can be an apple.
Yeah.
Why not? It's only our mind who creates that sugar will be better as a comfort food. But sometimes when you go in an apple, it's like juicy, sugary, or sweet, or acid. It's so nice. So it's only we are programming ourselves for sugar.
Yeah, definitely. Humans are such like creatures that are made of habits, right? So this is so important for like parents listening and for all parents out there. We are sort of like somehow a little bit in charge of guiding your children towards like healthy eating and trying to falling in the trap of like using reward systems that would involve candies as an example, or things like that, because this is really creating habits within our children that will be much harder to undo once they are adults, right?
Or like the birthday cake, there are also a lot of icing and all that kind of food coloring, and they are wonderful for the eyes. They are not so good and very bad for our health. My kids know I don't put icing, and sometimes I found icing, but it's not like conventional icing.
Yeah, like made out of avocado or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like chocolate pudding, avocado, this is one, or coconut whipped cream.
Yeah.
And they like colors. They like to make it like more bright. So I use food as coloring, like beets. It's a wonderful coloring. Turmeric for yellow. There's pea flower that it's like purple, the blue purple.
That's such
There's
a great
the
idea.
blue spirulina that makes a really flash blue. So I make drinks for my kids that I put lemon, I put just water in it, and I will put the pea flower. It's wonderful because when you put the pea flower, it's blue, and then when you put lemon and it becomes purple. So like kids like it. It's like a party, but it's all food, and your body will recognize the molecule and doesn't unstabilize your gut, and it doesn't unstabilize your neurotransmitter.
Yeah. So this is such a great example that there are alternatives out there to make it just as enjoyable for everybody, including kids, so they don't feel so different also from other people around us. This is something very important that we do see a lot with our children, right? And so that's such a great example that if we are being a little bit more creative, maybe we can find alternatives to make it colorful and fun for them.
And like I was thinking, like for those who eat gelatin, I make gummy bear, but you can use the algae agar-agar that will help also. And you can take only juice, a little bit, we are in Quebec, so a little bit of maple syrup, just to say. Sometimes I put essential oils also. And you have different kind of color because you have apple juice, but you can have grape juice or whatever that please you. And I buy a lot of different mold, so they have different kind of shapes, and they are happy. And they bring it to the school, and all the other kids like it. So you don't need to have like a bad candy for your health. You can make happy things for your kids.
Yeah.
I wanted to know because when you start gluten-free, it's very hard to cook because you didn't understand how gluten-free flour works. So one trick that you can have, it's a mixed flour already. In Quebec, I like the brand Cuisine Soleil or L'Angélique because not so refined, the product that you have in it.
So basically those mix, they are like 4 or 5 different types of cereals that are combined that will create the right texture if you want to make muffins or cake or bread, right?
But if you want to create yourself the mix, you can use 2 kinds of flour, gluten-free, and you use starch.
Okay.
So this will bring the things together. If you want to moisturize more, like for pizza or like muffin, the texture is more similar to what you used to, you can put vegetable in it. This is one of my tricks. You use or zucchini for like you put like you cook the zucchini and you blend it and you put it inside. Or butternut squash also. I use it for the pizza. It's really good, and the texture will be and the kids doesn't know because like even you have zucchini, you don't see the green that much once it's cooked. So
it's a great way to increase your intake of vegetables, both for you and for your children, as right. And so basically, like do you want to give us an example if you were to do a blend like of 2 type of cereals for your like flour mix? Would that be like brown rice and like, and what starch would you recommend using for people that are listening?
Usually I don't use rice flour. Why? Because in all gluten-free product there's rice. So you will find it in the pasta, you will find it everywhere. So I try at home to use other kind of flour to have a variety. So I love sorghum flour. So sorghum, it's a grain that you can cook a bit like a rice, and it can make a variety also, not to take also all the time rice.
So it's a little bit like tapioca, the look of it?
That's a big, like maybe couscous, but a big.
Okay, bigger. Yeah, okay.
And it takes much more time than rice. So it's like 50 minutes to an hour. Like the first time I did that, I say, oh my God, okay, we'll eat the supper, and then for dessert we'll
take it for breakfast.
Yes, the next day. But once you start to cook it and you do your stuff after. So sorgho flour it's easy to find. So I like this flour. Cassava flour also, I like it. There's coconut flour.
Yeah.
If you want to improve the taste, you use almond flour. It's really wonderful taste. Everybody likes that. There's quinoa flour. There's millet flour.
Yeah. Mia. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot. There's one flour that is less known is teff. It's come from Ethiopia or in North Africa. It's
this also is like a very dark cereal, very, very tiny, right?
Yeah, it's teeny. Yeah. So there's amaranth also flour. So usually I use sorgho. Why? Because it's a neutral taste. There's some who has a stronger taste, like millet, for example. It's stronger the taste. So sorgho, and I will mix it with something. Okay. Like here at school, we cannot use nuts products. So I will use, for example, cassava flour. Okay. And as starch, usually I use or arrowroot or tapioca.
Okay. Okay. So you would mix those and that would make like your basic like flour mix to make most of your recipes. Okay.
So you can do 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 of each, and you can have like a similar flour to gluten flour. But it's not the same taste, it's not the same texture. You have to change your mindset. You won't have the same thing, and it's all right.
Yeah. We got to remind ourselves also, if we want things to change, we can make it changed if we keep everything that we are used to, right? So we got to keep an open mind to new tastes, and like we're gonna jam also on trying to find what we like, what we don't like as much. But those are really great tips. And we're coming towards more the end of this episode, and I'd like you to share. So you've just shared like your flour recipe that would be a great way for people to start going a little bit more gluten-free if they feel this is something that they could actually try to improve their health. Do you want to give us maybe one more tip of something if someone listening to this podcast or this episode today is saying, okay, I'm ready, I want to do that, I want to try to go gluten-free to try to heal my gut, to just improve my health or specific health condition. What would be one tip that you would like to give to this person that will help them to start today?
I will do this in two parts, because the first part is to try to become gluten-free. And if you try it really seriously. Because some people, sometimes I give, the objective 3 weeks gluten-free and see how it goes inside you. It's not enough to get rid of all the gluten-free residue, but it's usually enough to see a little different, or in the stools or in your mood. The mood has a big, the gluten has a big impact on the mood, or in your energy. So be really serious. So if you eat during the 3 weeks off, if accidentally, because at first you didn't know that in something, the salad dressing, there were gluten or whatever, just start again your 3 weeks when you did the error. So do it really seriously, because some people say, oh yeah, but I took a piece of bread, I took this and I took this, and there's no result. To have real result, you have to do it seriously. So 100% without gluten. So that means when you go to a restaurant, you tell the waiter that you are gluten-free and it's a non-tolerance, so they clean everything. So you don't have residue, or you don't have croutons in your salad, or your soup doesn't have wheat to be more thicker, or you have to find all the place where there's gluten. So this is the first advice. And then you can eat or take maybe herbal tea to help heal the gut. So it will accelerate a little bit the process and you will see more results. So I will suggest, maybe if you want to go with supplement, I will suggest, if you don't know which enzyme is unbalanced, maybe to take a general enzyme.
Okay.
And to take plants for your gut. It can be slippery elm, for example, or you can take aloes juice, or you can take clay also. You can drink clay. This is another way of trying to heal your gut at the same time to have better result more quicker.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, this is what will motivate people to keep going, right? Because if they do that and if they don't see any results, they will just give up. And this is such a good point. I keep on repeating that to the people I work with. If we want to see results, we have to don't eat any for a certain period of time. Otherwise, you better just keep on doing what you're doing. It starts of like, doesn't give you like a really good portrait of what's happening if you take, like, I had a croissant this morning or whatever, so that's such a good point. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, because we live in an era where we need results very quickly.
Yeah.
But you have to take time, and you have to allow yourself to understand, okay, which product has that gluten, and to have the passion and persevere all the time. Perseverance is one of the best things. And what to my clients, please, if you're desperate, if you're missing so much something, write to me. I will find a way that you will at least comfort yourself in similar thing, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a great idea to try to find some guidance in like helping you to replace certain type of food and make it as enjoyable as possible, right? So this is a good
point. Or change the way of eating. If you're missing that much pizza and you cannot eat gluten and you cannot eat casein, sometimes people say, oh, okay, it's not that much interesting. So instead of doing pizza, do other thing, or do a cauliflower crust, for example.
Yeah.
So you can have many way of doing it. It's not, you don't have always to reproduce the same way of eating, but gluten-free. And grain all the time, it's not that good. So give you a break and eat other things.
Yeah, that's such a good point. We got to remember that in our plate, very often we have mainly grains like pasta or rice, for example, that would take like pretty much like half of our plate, and then a little bit of protein and a tiny bit of vegetables. But that should be the other way around. Lots of vegetables, a little bit of protein, and a little bit of cereals. So already, if you start doing like some sort of gluten-free diet, if you try to change your mindset and see your plate in a different way, this will be super helpful also for you, right?
And depending of the personality of the person, there are some people who need to be prepared. So you can have 2-3 weeks of just observing, okay, I eat that. How can I change that? For example, the morning I eat 2 toast. How can I change that? Okay, maybe the bread I will taste, no, I don't like it. Okay, why not taking a sweet potato, slice it and put it in the toaster, and I can put my nut butter on it, or whatever you want, or an egg on it. So you have to go with your personality. There are some other people who say, okay, no, I started right now and I change everything. I will give it to my neighbor, all the flour, and I reorganize my kitchen. So you go with your personality. I don't mind the person taking like a month or 3 weeks of observing, because after she will maintain it, she will persevere. So you go with your personality.
Yeah, this is such an important point. And this is also something that will help people to get the outcomes that they want, because it's not either too drastic or they really go at their own pace, right? Thank you so much for sharing that. This is such an interesting conversation. I would love to keep going, but I know you have things to do. So now I'd like you to share where people can find you on social media, or if they want to have more information, or where they can follow you, Nathalie.
So on social media, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I'm not a big fan of social media, but I try my best to do.
Okay, and they can find you under your name, Nathalie Ashkar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm Nathalie with the H, Ashkar, Ashkar, or on my website, which is NathalieAshkar.ca.
Okay.
And I see clients through FaceTime or Skype, or even in person, which I prefer when they are close to me.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm actually going to put the links under the video or the podcast for those who are listening to us. Thank you so much for being with us today, Nathalie. That was an amazing yeah, it was an amazing conversation. I really enjoyed it. So thanks a lot.
Have a nice day, everyone.
Take care.